Okay, I'd like to call the public hearing to receive comments on ordinance 2238 to order. Is there anybody here to give us comments on ordinance 2238? That's the zoning of 1194 Dutch Fork Road. Seeing none, I'll call it public hearing to a close. And I'd like to now continue with the calling to order the January 17th, 2023 meeting of the Irmo Town Council. The meeting is being live streamed. It's being broadcast on YouTube. And we'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance from a young group of Escaloriates from the Harbison West Elementary School. If they would come up here, and Courtney, if you would give them a microphone and so they can say the Pledge of Allegiance very loud for us. Actually, tell them to introduce themselves right quick.
I'm Penelope.
I'm Mackenzie.
I'm Addison. I'm Michaela.
All right. And these are the representatives of Carol. Please stand for us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
It stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies. Dear Lord, bless the young Axeloriates for coming and giving us the Pledge of Allegiance, and bless this council on the decisions we make tonight. Amen. Have a seat. I'd like to continue with the reading of the minutes from the December 10th to the 20th, 2022 meeting. We received that electronically from the clerk. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any changes to the minutes as received? Okay, all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. We also received the January 8th, 2023 minutes from the workshop. For the called meeting. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second? A second. Are there any changes to the minutes? Seeing no changes, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approval. All opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Report of standing, administrative briefing. We received administrative briefing from Mr. Dennis. Are there any changes for the administrative briefing for Mr. Dennis? Seeing none, Mr. Dennis, do you have any changes for the council? I do not. Okay. All right. Moving right forward. New in-town businesses. Mr. Sickinger, do we have any new in-town businesses in Irmo?
That we do. Columbia Analytical Instruments, Family Dental Health of Murray Landing, Slingin, Inc., The Realist Housewife of Irmo Christian Talk Show, and Tri-County Hospice, Inc. Welcome to the town.
Fantastic. Thank you. Amendments to the agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we move the executive session prior to new business so we could discuss the legal matters prior to making a decision.
That's out of order. You can't do that. Are there any more amendments to the agenda? Any more amendments to the agenda? Seeing none. Consideration of communication. Recognition of Lizard Thicket as the January 23. Y'all join me down in front. Is there anybody here from Lizard Thicket? Come on. Oh, wait, I thought Bobby Williams was coming.
Well, I'm his niece, so that
Oh,
is
okay.
Sarah.
No worries. How you doing? What's your name? Brian. Sit right here. Every month we recognize a business of the month, and this is in recognition of the fine work you've done, all the taxes you paid, Irmo. We appreciate that very much, and the fact that you've been sustaining throughout COVID to make it through to today. I know it's been tough. I used to have a restaurant myself a long time ago, but I want to say thank you so much, and I want to read this to you. This is presented to Liz Thicket in recognition of being the Small Business of the Month for the town of Irmo for January 2023. So I'll give him a big hand as well. We all know what Liz Thicket is and what it does. I'm certainly a product of what your good food. So can you give us a little bit more background on what y'all have done in Irmo?
Well, the town of Irmo welcomed us over 30 years ago. We were originally in Shoppers Walk, and they've continued to welcome us every day. And our Irmo listeners, again, thanks to Brian and his team out there, they are always number 1 or 2 in sales. So
Good.
y'all do a good job out here, and Brian does an excellent job running the store.
Well,
But
yeah.
just a meet and 3 and cook to order breakfast 7 days a week.
Well, again, we appreciate you being a small business of the month in Irmo, South Carolina. Thank you.
Very much.
All right. Good.
Thank y'all.
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor? I have a point of parliamentary, that was me, point of parliamentary inquiry. Councilman Bush wanted to move an item on the agenda. Would that be a motion for a suspension of the rules to move that up on the agenda?
Yeah, but that's not what he called for. He called for the moment's agenda.
Okay,
That's out of order.
thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Moving right along. School showcase. Dr. Waldman, do you have any school showcase information?
Tonight's school showcase is to be presented by Principal Julia Scott from Dutch Fork Elementary Academy of Environmental Sciences. Welcome, Mr. Scott.
Thank you, and we certainly appreciate the opportunity to share some good tidings from Dutch Fork Elementary and appreciate the work of the council. Don't know which direction to face. Typically, we have to provide an elevator speech when we're talking about our schools. And so 10 years ago, Dutch Fork Elementary became an environmental sciences magnet school. And here's what I would tell you. Anytime someone asks about our school, I always start off with our beliefs, because we believe that beliefs guide the work of any great organization. And I'll just share with you a few of our beliefs that we seek to ensure embody our work. Our first belief as a school is that all people deserve to feel safe, valued, and loved. Because the reality is, it doesn't matter what our magnet theme is, if our students don't get a sense of they're cared for, if they're valued, if they're important, our theme is irrelevant. If our families, our parents, our guardians don't get that sense as well, then it really doesn't matter. And ultimately, our faculty and staff also must ensure that. Second, we believe that all children are naturally curious about the world around them. I would submit to you, doesn't matter if you're born black or white, whether you're from a family of means or no means, you don't have to teach children to be curious. If you have any kids, the reality is you know early on they're curious about everything around them. And as a school that's all about the sciences, we seek to encourage that. Third, we believe that learning is social. We believe that people learn best when they're given the opportunity to learn with and from each other. So we could give our students an opportunity to showcase their learning. We believe that inquiry is the process for learning more about the world. So whether a child decides to become a scientist or not, the reality is no matter what your respective vocations, questions make matters better. As a council, questions lead to solutions and unpacking those. And we want to help our students to understand that. We also believe that learning should lead to social action. So for us, we don't want to play school. We don't want to do things that's just cute for the sake of saying it's an elementary school. We want learning at Dutch Fork Elementary to reflect learning in the real world. So again, we're grateful for the work of the council, and we're grateful for the opportunity that we have to serve families here in the area. Thank you.
Mr. Scott, I got a question. And thank you for that presentation.
Sir.
So, are you teaching elementary school kids to become environmental scientists?
We are. So, in essence, again, we don't say we teach science. We say we teach scientists.
Yeah.
Right? Like kids naturally want to learn more. And so we try to ensure, as I said, learning reflects the real world. I'll give you one current example. We, to our knowledge, have the only kindergartners in the state of South Carolina that's raising an endangered species of trout that's coming from the upstate. And so this is not a matter of just talking about gills, okay? So in our tank, we get them from the very beginning of their stage of life. Our students are measuring pH balance in water, ammonia levels in water. They're collecting data over time. So actually using the language of ichthyologists, which is the study of fish. So again, we want learning at Dutch Fork to reflect learning in the real world.
What happened to like ABCs and 1, 2, 3 and all that? I mean, when I was in elementary school, we were never touching that sort of stuff.
Certain. We still have to teach ABCs without a
Okay.
doubt, and I don't have enough time to unpack that. But ABCs are still relevant, teaching people how to read. And yes, we're an environmental sciences school, but we still have to teach math and science and reading and writing and the love for reading and social sciences. So we don't abandon the traditional things that we all came up with, just have a greater emphasis, trying to be uncommonly good at things that are commonly offered.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Dr. Woolman? Okay. Moving on, community connections, Dr. Woolman.
Yes, this evening I have 3 items I'd like to bring to everyone's attention. The first one is the Irmo Chili Cook-Off and Car Show, which will be held on January 28th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in our community park of Irmo. The next item that I wanted to bring to your attention is an event at the Harbison Community Association. It's a Valentine's Senior Luncheon on Monday, February 13th, or Tuesday, February 14th. You can get more information about that at the Harbison Rec Center.
Okay, thank you.
And finally, the last item, it's the slide to the right side of your screen there. Another activity at the Harbison Rec Center is the Harbison Community Swim Lessons. I think it's really important that everyone know how to swim, and here's an opportunity to take advantage of the Harbison community. They're offering weekend swim lessons from January through July, and then for the summer, they're also offering weekday swim lessons. So this would be the time to contact the Harbison Community Association and sign up for those swim lesson sessions. And in general, it's there's a lot of activities going on at the Harbison Community Center or the Harbison Rec Center. So it's always a good idea to get on their email list and be aware, keep aware of the activities they have going on. And that's it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Wong. And this month, we have the Artist of the Month is this Miss Mary Colette. On your screen there, you'll see some examples of her artwork, and it's on display at Town Hall. I would encourage anybody to stop by Town Hall to look at their artwork as well as to purchase it. I believe that she'll be glad to sell you those portraits and those paintings. Moving right on, presentation by citizens on agenda items only. This is a chance that you can come to Town Hall and tell us before we vote on items on our agenda tonight how you feel. It's not a debate. I want to hear from you, or we want to hear from you what your feelings are and what your thoughts are. And we have a sign-up sheet up front. If you didn't get a chance to sign in, I will call you up after the meeting, after the list has been read. We'll start with Mr. Richard Bell. Are you here, Mr. Richard Bell? You want to come up and speak to us about the agenda items that we have on our agenda tonight? Give us your name and address and speak into the mic.
My name is Richard Bell. I am the owner of 7543 Eastview Drive. And I just was here tonight to let you know that after hearing the
What items are you referring to? I'm sorry.
item,
Agenda item.
D, approval of resolution
Right.
2302. I was just here to let you know that from the meeting we had at the church, if this was going to go through, that we were not interested in selling our land to the town of Irmo at 7543 East View Drive. And just wanted to let the council know how we felt about that. That's it.
Okay. Mr. Charles Wright. Mr. Charles Wright. Okay. Come up and give us your name and address, please.
My name is Charles Wright. Address 1129 Mosley Avenue. Come let you know, not interested in selling. We're not gonna sell. Me and my siblings, we're not gonna sell.
Okay. Miss Lorna Hip. Miss Lorna Hip. Again, come to the podium, the microphone. Let us know what agenda item you're addressing. I beg your pardon?
2302.
Can you take your mic? I can't hear you.
2302. Same one. I think that's the number. 2302 about the land sale, the land acquisition. I am at 7442 Church Street, Irmo, South Carolina, and I am not interested in selling to anyone, and I'm not interested in talking about it anymore from this point on. Thank you.
Okay. Jeffrey Hips, are you?
I'm Jeffrey Hips, same resident.
What item?
2302.
Okay.
Land. Yeah, not interested in selling the land and don't want to hear about it anymore with same address, 7442 Church Street, and that's it.
Okay. Mr. Isaiah Hall? Isaiah Hall? Mr. Hall? Okay. Give us your name and address, please, and tell us what item you're addressing.
My name is Isaiah Hall, and I live at 7468 Church Street. And I was wanted to talk a little about approval of resolution 2302. And I'm not on the agenda for Moses Street, but I'm on the agenda for Church Street, and I'm right in the air. So I like to say I would not like to sell my land. I'm not going to sell what I won't do if it have to, but I don't want to sell it. And I'm 80 years old, and I'm not got too old to be moving. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Mr. Jim Reese. Jim Reese. How you doing, Mr. Reese? Give us your name and address, please.
Name is Jim Reese. Address is 140 Fletcher Lane. I am addressing agenda item 2302, but in a little bit broader sense. I was raised right here in Irmo after my parents met at Fort Jackson and decided to plant roots right here in Friarsgate, where they still live. After graduating from Newberry College, I decided the same, marry an Irmo girl, built a forever home and a forever family in Irmo. I've been a local pastor in Irmo for 10 years, and so it is my mission in life to serve the Irmo community. First, I want to thank you, Mayor Berry, and these councilmen and women for the invitation to community members to be heard. I appreciate the carefulness and the consideration being extended to get this right. I think the general consensus is going to be pretty clear that we have the wrong location. It's something we have to get right, and I believe that we can get right. A month ago, I was talking to a church member who shared how much they love Irmo, having grown up here. I asked them if Irmo was their forever home, and they said they wanted it to be, but the only reason they'd move away is to settle in a more Main Street-centered community. They said, man, if Irmo could ever pull off a walkable, pet-friendly, family-friendly Main Street feel, I would never consider leaving. In fact, in my church of about 350, several share that sentiment, including myself. The truth is, growth is happening. South Carolina continues to be second or third nationally in the most moved to state category every year. The Midlands, including Irmo, is in that due to our school district. When I asked new visitors and members what brought them to Irmo, the schools continued to be at the top of the list. So growth is going to happen. It's inevitable. We cannot wish it away. We cannot blindly ignore it. Irmo's got it too good to pass up, and people know that. So we can either let the growth happen to us, or we can let the growth happen for us. I'm proposing that we can get ahead of this growth, design it, shape it, visualize it to work for our benefit. Irmo should be the representation to the whole state of what the Midlands is all about. A vibrant place where people not only live together, but do life together. A place where fun isn't downtown Columbia. A place where fun is local. Friends are local. Irmo could be the hub of local food, local beverage, business, recreation, entertainment. Irmo should be the premier walkable weekend destination. The growth is coming. It's already happening. It can happen to us, or it can happen for us. I believe the foundation's been laid for Irmo's next chapter. We have a favorable council who finds a way to say yes instead of no, so thank you. Irmo's welcome mat is already out. The open sign is buzzing. The lights are on. Irmo will always come together around the right kind of growth. The location is bad. The idea is good. Our future is ours to control. The growth is ours to dream. The community is ours to love. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. William and Cheryl Bowman.
Good afternoon. We're here to address Resolution 2302. My name is William Bowman, and this is my wife, Cheryl Bowman. Our address is 1404 Murrayview Drive. We own property on Church Street. And thank you for this opportunity, Mayor and Council. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. We, William and Cheryl Bowman, we are the property owners on Church Street at Lot 12. For the record, we're not interested in selling our property. Please do not approach our family regarding the sale of this property. Additionally, we ask that all council members and mayor vote to suspend the Irmo Main Street project at the Mosley Church Street location. Thank you.
Miss Rosetta and Timothy Brannon. Rosetta and Timothy. You look like Ralph Brannon. That's my middle name. Oh. Give me your address and your item you're speaking on, please.
My name is Rosetta Lee Part, and 1204 Lawrence Street. I am here to tell everyone that we have grew up here from kids, so we are not gonna sell, because you just can't jump up and leave what you have had all your life. And then this is a nice place, and so many people want it, and we are not gonna sell, but just have to take the best on the outside. All right, get with it.
And my name is Timothy Brandon, just in case y'all can look on the list. And our answer is no. We're not selling. And I'm also speaking for Mr. Samuel Brown on 2802 or 2302. Man standing right there, he says no. So have a nice day.
Okay. Miss Patricia Bell. Patricia T. Bell.
name is Patricia Bell. I'm live at 7518 Eastview Drive, and I'd just like to come and say that we are not interested in selling, and I would like for no one to approach me about selling. Thank you.
Mr. James Mack.
Good evening, Mayor Walker and other town council members. My name is James Mack. My address is 7483 Eastview Drive, and my response is in reference to Resolution 23-02. For the record, we are not interested in selling. However, in my opinion, at this time, there are more pressing issues that need to be addressed rather than purchasing land, including, but not limited to, helping families improve their child's or children's with a developmental disability quality of life, opening up buildings or vacant buildings to help children at risk that are dropping out of school, helping teenage children on the streets because they have nothing to do, as well as homeless persons that are migrating towards the town jurisdiction, or establishing service organizations where some of the buildings that are vacant in the Irmo area can be utilized to help folks. In closing, as stated earlier, contacting us to discuss the purchasing or selling of our land in the future is not an option for any of my family members. Thank you.
That concludes the list of everybody who signed up. Is there anybody else that would like to address council on agenda items? Please come up. Come up and give us your name, address, and what item you'd like to address, please.
Good evening. My name is Phyllis Coleman. I own the property down the street, 7336 Mowers Street. In light of what I've seen my childhood friends and extended family go through with the attempt of the acquisition of Mosley Street properties, I'm trying to get ahead of the curve on item 23-01, in that I too do not intend to sell my property, so please don't put me on your list of people to visit that topic with. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Come up. Come on up. Give us your name and address, and what item would you like to address on this?
My name is Jasmine, and I live at the apartments at Cooper's Trace.
What's your name? Garrett?
Jasmine. And I just wanted to speak about the 23-01, the resolution and approval. I just want to say I'm only 26 years old, but my family's been here for generations. So the same way in 2019 that we were talking about building Cooper's Trace, and that was such a big deal, I feel like for people to move to Irmo, but haven't grown up in Irmo and seen their grandmas and great-grandmas live in Irmo, they don't really understand. It sounds good. It looks good. It's pleasing to the eye. But what about the people who've always lived here, who's leaving land to their kids and grandkids? It's more than just, oh, it's pretty here. Because it's always been pretty here, but it's always going to be pretty somewhere else. So when do you consider that too? I'm not saying it's not a good idea, but there's also land that's like $2.2 million around the corner from there. Why isn't that being thought of? Why is it people's homes and family homes and generations where they currently live being thought of? I think it's a okay idea, but there's other things to think about as well. It's just what I'm considering in my young age of being in Irmo.
Thank you, Joe. Anybody else? Anybody else wants to address council on agenda items that did not sign the list? All right. Moving right along then. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't see you pop up. Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lakeisha Bowman, and
Lakeisha
Yes,
Bowman.
Lakeisha Bowman, and I am the niece of Cheryl and William Bowman, and I am also the granddaughter of Sarah Bowman.
What's your
happens to
address?
be-
What is your address?
My address is 630 Doncaster Drive. I am literally right behind the park. And I am opposing to the whole idea of having a whole downtown of Irmo because, once again, with us living on 63 Doncaster, that involves with all the extra noise, the chaoticness. It really is in my back door. And I oppose it completely. So I'm just asking for you guys to turn the idea to another location that's here in Irmo that's available. And pretty much know that majority of Irmo African Americans that have their land here is not going to sell, and we're opposed to it. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? By the way, gentlemen, there's some seats up front here if you want to sit down and not block the doorway. Come on in. Thank you. All right, moving right along then, unfinished business, item A, second and final reading of ordinance 2238. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion, Mr. Sickinger?
No, previous points stand.
Okay, Mr. Bush?
I concur.
Okay, Dr. Wallman?
I have no comments.
Okay, and Mr. Danielson? Okay, will the clerk read the roll, please?
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Mr. Danielson?
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes. New business, item A, first reading of ordinance 2301. This is a zoning change, zoning language change. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Sickinger and Mr. Bush? Mr. Sickinger?
I'll yield my first round to my fellow board members.
Okay. Mr. Bush, on you.
I believe on this one, I'd like to make an amendment to require 4 lanes. I think in this one, it requires 3 lanes. I'm looking through all the paperwork here. Yeah, I think.
Where you adding that at, Mr. Bush?
On street access, item E, ordinance 2301. Multifamily housing shall access only roads with a minimum of 3 paved lanes, and I would like to amend that to 4 paved lanes.
You're making a motion to amend it to 4 paved lanes?
Yes.
Mr. Dennis, is that, we can make that change on the fly like that? Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Is there a second? Is there a second, Mr. Sickinger? All right, any discussion about that? Changing it from 3 lanes to 4?
Mr. Mayor. I have the question as to the definition of multifamily. And I think we've talked about this before. We want to be clear. It says it's under the development for conditional uses for townhomes. What density are we including townhomes into multifamily? 2 very different things.
So this is just adding conditional uses for multifamily. So when you're asking density, I don't know if I understand your question. The density stays the same with the zoning regulation in terms of whatever zone it is, RG, RS, if it's 4 or 7 or 16. I don't have the manual here with me tonight, but that's not changing. This is just if they're proposing multifamilies such as apartments, they would have to adhere to these conditional uses to it.
Okay, anybody else? Mr. Bush, on your amendment, you're saying you want to go to 4 lanes. Does that mean that if we're building if somebody's building an apartment on Route 6, we're going to be responsible for making that 4th lane if they don't have it already, or?
Well, I think the developer would be incumbent for them to either choose a location with 4 lanes, i.e. like Lake Murray Boulevard already has 4 lanes
Okay.
and turning lanes. But I would caution us against allowing 3 lanes where, for example, Irmo Drive, if there was a piece of land there, that road has no shoulders. It would be, if you put 1 turn lane there, I think for emergency vehicles, fire trucks, ambulances, I don't want to be having a heart attack and people not be able to get around traffic that might be, that could be backed up on a 1-lane road because there's no way around. That's my concern.
Understood, but so that's, would that language change, we're gonna require them to have 4 lanes on the road. So does that mean they won't be able to build it, any kind of a multifamily complex, unless they have a road with 4 lanes? Or are we putting that encumbrance on the developer to build that 4th lane if there wasn't one?
It becomes incumbent on the developer to, if they wanted to develop something that is 2 lanes or 3 lanes, they would have to incur the cost to make it 4 lanes through there.
Okay, so is that possible, Courtney? Can we force the developer to build an additional lane on a road?
Yeah, and so it's the last sentence in this language says, such roads may be pre-existing or modified by the developer and approved by SCDOT and the town of Irmo.
Okay.
So that's basically saying if it's not there, then they have to come to us for that approval to make sure it meets.
Okay,
what
so we
this
can,
language means.
okay, so we can force them to put that 4th lane in. Okay, Mr. Secretary?
Just to ask, so we're talking about number of lanes. Just to clarify, because I also don't want to put us in a position where we understand with all the impacts of these decisions. So we're talking about 3 paved lanes, 4 lanes, which would effectively, unless you have 2 turn lanes, it's going to be 2 lanes each way plus 1, so it would probably be 5 or 4 if they don't have a turn lane. But I guess my question would be, I don't see specificity in E around the length of which is going to be 4 lanes, right? So if I were a well-oiled machine that figured out how to follow the law, but not really with the intent, could I put 10 feet of pavement down and say that's 4 lanes? What's the distinction there?
The ingress egress would have to be approved by us and DOT, but the whole purpose, I believe, by making multi-lane accessible is so you keep traffic moving, so you don't have people stopped to make a left turn into a facility. Whether it's 4 lanes for that 50 feet or 4 lanes for 50 miles, it's that ingress egress point that you want to get traffic off the road. That's where your traffic congestion starts.
So if I'm understanding you, Councilman, they can do let's say they're building a road on an apartment complex on Irmo Drive, wherever.
Yeah.
They, just in front of their complex for 10 feet or 20 feet, whatever they approve, they can make it 4 lanes in that section. But the rest of the road can stay 2 lanes. And that's what you're alluding to, right?
For clarification, I believe DOT has standards and specifications. You can't just come in and put 3 feet of 4 lane. You would have to meet DOT specifications before you can modify their road.
I understand.
Or county specs,
Right, but if we're saying that we have to have it a 4 lane, does that mean they have to pave the entire length of Irmo Drive to make it 4 lane, or just in front of their
I don't believe
complex?
that's the case.
I mean-
I would have to defer to the engineers at DOT, but I believe it would be a specific amount of 4 lane. You can't, there's no way they're gonna allow you to come in and 10 feet, put 4 lanes and then knock it back down to 2 lanes.
No, I get it, but you're saying that in this ordinance, which is a law, you're saying that you're requiring them to have a 4 lane road in front of their complex.
Yes, however
order-
that,
in order to
however that
build their
manifests itself, like they could either pick a road like Lake Murray that has 4 lanes, or they could pick a road like Highway 6 and then have to widen a segment of that to allow emergency vehicles to be able to bypass a traffic.
Right, in front of their complex.
Yes.
Make it 4 lanes in front of their complex.
Yes.
But the rest of the road, past that, leave it the way it is.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
I got you, but I'm saying I want to make sure it's clear that we are telling people that if they wanted to build that on Highway 6, right in front of their complex has to be at least 4 lanes. When you get past their complex, it goes back to what it is now, 2 lanes, all the way down to Lake Murray or wherever.
Yeah, I mean, so
you got 4 lanes down to 2. Mr. Bush?
What I'm looking to do is prevent something like where the Chick-fil-A is out there in Ballantyne, and during most of the day, you're stuck there until people get their chicken and go around, and that's crazy. So we don't want to keep perpetuating that forward by allowing more places to be able to do that very thing.
I got you.
Without addressing the potential traffic issues.
But we need to, I personally think we need to address the entire length of the road, not this.
Well, I completely agree with you, but that would be extremely costly, and it would probably prevent anybody from developing.
Well, no, it won't prevent them. It means that we have to lean on DOT.
Right, or
do their job.
Or the developers need to go downtown and lean on their senators that pass.
There you go.
You know.
There you go. That's
funding to 4-lane a road.
Okay. Any more conversation? Will the clerk read the roll, please? An amendment, I'm sorry. Will the clerk read the roll on the amendment?
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Mr. Danielson?
Yes.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
No. Oh, moving right along, back to the original ordinance with the amendments that just passed. Is there any more conversation about that? Seeing none, will the clerk read a roll on the ordinance?
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Mr. Danielson?
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes. The ordinance passes. Item B, first reading of ordinance 2302 to, again, amend the language for mini warehouses. Is there a motion for first approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Sickinger? Any comments?
No, I think it speaks for itself, but happy to get into the discussion if folks have items to discuss.
Okay. Mr. Bush?
Well, I think I appreciate that they've added in the zoning board of appeals. We'll be approving buffer landscaping and some things like that to, make sure it fits within the area that it's going to be able to be located in. And exterior building materials, for example.
Okay, Dr. Wallman?
I'm good with the proposal.
Okay, and Mr. Danielson?
Yeah, I agree. Nothing wrong with the special exceptions. We'd have to look at it as special.
Okay. Will the clerk read the roll?
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Mr. Danielson?
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes. Item C, approval of resolution 2301 to purchase an acre of land within the town of Irmo for a potential future town hall. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there a second? I'll second it. Mr. Sickinger.
Yeah, I think so. It's been pretty clear over the last couple of years that the current town hall is served honorably and should be recognized for its many years of service, but is starting to hinder the ability of the staff to do their job and for the town to be able to grow. I recognize that how this is written is basically giving the ability of the town administrator to make a decision to kind of act on this. And so while what I'm trying to figure out here is I know that there's an executive session at the end of the meeting, and I think it behooves us to get that information from the executive session before we make that vote, which I know requires a motion for suspension of the rules to take the agenda out of order and have the executive session currently.
I would
correct?
second that motion if that's a motion.
It is.
Say it again now.
A motion to suspend the rules and move the executive session up to the current item on the agenda.
Okay, we are in the middle of new business. This, since I seconded it, this is an item that we already talked about in our workshop, okay? Since it's a motion is to make an exception, to move the executive session out of order and suspend the rules, I don't understand why we need to do that, since we know what we're talking about from our discussion at the workshop. Does anybody not know what we're talking about? Anybody not know what we're talking about?
I think, yes, I don't know what we're talking about. And
You don't, does anybody else?
And I
not
do
know?
think that there's a motion on the floor for suspension of the rules.
Right, and we're talking about the motion on the floor.
Understood.
Does anybody not know what we're talking about on the council?
I don't know the details of the motion that we're talking about.
Okay, you don't know the details. You don't know the details. Mr. Danson, do you know the detail?
I don't know what we're willing to pay for and what the cost is going to be. And
Point of order?
Okay, and
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
what's your point of order, Mr.?
It is not debatable when a motion for suspension of rules is not debatable. It's a 2/3 vote. It's not debatable.
It's a 2/3 vote, okay, that's fine. Will the clerk read the roll for the suspension of the rules to go into executive session?
For clarification, a affirmative vote would put us in the executive session.
Deferment of the vote?
Affirmative.
Yes. Yes, so the motion on the floor to suspend the rules to go into executive session, I think you just need to spell out which item in executive session.
And I would say both since we're in there.
So a legal matter, to receive legal advice relating to matters covered by attorney-client privilege, and legal and contractual matters, receipt of legal advice and discussion of negotiations of proposed purchase of property.
Okay, so that's a motion to suspend the rules to go into executive session to cover those two items. Is that clear? All right, is there clerk read the roll for the suspension of the rules?
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Mr. Danielson?
Yes.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes. We will go into executive session at this point, and we'll be back. We won't take any votes. We'll come back out and pick up right at item C. We are back from, huh? Oh, we're missing one? Oh, okay. We are back from executive session. No votes were taken. We're going to pick up where we left off at new business item C. There was a motion for approval by Mr. Sickinger and me. And is there any discussion?
I think I said what I wanted to say about it.
I don't have anybody else wants to discuss that. We're all up to date now. We know what we're talking about. Will the clerk read a roll for approval of item C, 2301?
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Mr. Danielson?
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes. Moving on, item D, approval of resolutions 2302. Is there a motion for approval? Is there a motion for approval, item 2302? I'll make that motion. Is there a second? Is there a second for approval of item 2302? Now, knowing that no motion for approval was done, that means that you're essentially denying the fact that you
Point of
wanna
order,
vote on
Mr.
that.
Mayor.
What's your point of order?
You've brought the item to the table. You've asked for a second. And there's really no other narrative that needs to be provided other than asking for a second.
So that means that we can't discuss it, we can't vote on that item. Is
Point
that
of-
correct?
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, what's your point
How
of
do
order?
how do you rule on the point of order?
Beg your pardon?
How do you rule on the point of order?
No, what is your point of order?
The point of order is that there is no narrative other than bringing to the table the resolution.
And I did, I brought it to the table, and if you don't vote on it, if I don't get a second, then that means this resolution dies for a lack of a second.
Correct.
Okay, that means that essentially you're voting against it. So is that your point of order? That's what I'm saying, and is there a second? Are you making a second?
No.
Are you making a second, Mr.
Point of
Davis?
order, Mr. Mayor.
I'm looking for a second. to
Point of
discuss
order,
this
Mr.
item.
Mayor.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to take the caps lock off your voice, okay?
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
There you go. What is your point of order?
The only thing that the chair needs to do is bring the item to the floor. If you choose to make the motion, that's fine. I can ask for the second. That's it. There is no additional narrative. What is your ruling on that? Yes, is that correct or is that not correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Nobody is willing to make a second, and I am explaining that for the lack of a second, this motion of 2302 to suspend land acquisition dies. Okay, that's the motion. That's explanation of a lack of a second on this board. Now, I made the motion to approve it for discussion.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. You continue to extend this item. You've had it first, you've had ample opportunity for a second, none have been given. We move on to the next item on the agenda.
That means that this motion is dead, right? Is that correct? Can I at least say that? That the motion is dead on lack of a second? Just answer the question, Mr. Secretary. I just want to be
I'm not
clear.
going to get in a debate with you, Mayor.
You see?
I appeal the decision of the chair, who has
Okay.
decided to continue
Okay.
to talk, make
Mr.
narrative,
Secretary, I need
and
you
not
to-
follow the rules
I need
of
you to
order.
take the caps lock off your voice. I can hear you very clearly right
No.
next to me. Thank you very much. That motion to approve Resolution 2302 is disapproved. Is not approved. Moving along, approval of. Okay. Can I have your attention, please? I need you to be quiet. Just let me finish. Approval of change order for Wiley Easton Construction for the park project of $143,136. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll
Is there
second.
a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. And is there a change? You want a discussion, Mr. Sickinger?
It's work to continue to do the work at Rawls Creek Park, which is, has been discussed ad nauseum at this point, so I'm in favor.
And Mr. Bush?
Same. I'll yield my time. We spoke about this in our workshop.
Okay. And Mr. Danielson?
Yes, we've discussed it, and
Okay.
we'll move forward with it.
Mr. Dr. Waldman?
It's been discussed.
Okay. It's been discussed and seconded, and will the clerk read the roll?
Mr. Bush?
Yay.
Mr. Danielson?
Yay.
Mr. Sickinger?
Yes.
Dr. Waldman?
Yes.
And Mayor Walker?
Yes. Moving on to item E, appointment to the Planning Commission. We have one term expiring, and then 3 people are wanting to be on the Planning Commission. Is any motion for applicants? Is there a motion for?
Mr.
Anybody?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Ed Greco to the Planning Commission effective April 1st, 2023.
Okay.
I would second that.
You don't need a second. We're going to vote on it. Is there any other appointments?
Just point of information,
Yeah.
if you don't mind. Councilperson Dr. Barb said April 1st, effective April 1st. If you wouldn't mind, both for myself and others, why?
Certainly. In order to stay in line with Irmo Town Code, Chapter 2, Article 4, Division 3, Section 2-292, Part B, the terms of planning commissioners is supposed to start on April 1st of every year. So that's why I went with that date for this particular appointment.
So let me get this straight. We're appointing him tonight, but he doesn't take effect until April 1st.
Correct.
Okay, why are we doing it so early? Why are we doing it so early?
Because it's on the agenda for tonight.
Why,
rather
I get
than
that. I get
rather
that.
than take
Why
it
is
off
it-
and revisit.
Is that why? We shouldn't have put it on so early?
Well, his initial appointment was in March of
2019.
Okay.
And so it's been this started in 1996, and so every reappointment may have got kicked a month or back a month.
Right.
So we got off the April requirement, as Dr. Waldman has pointed out.
Right.
So
Got it. Okay. Any more discussion? Will the clerk read the roll, please? I'm sorry, we're voting on the appointment of Ed Greco. I guess all in favor of Ed Greco, raise your right hand. All opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Ed Greco. You are now a new member of the Planning Commission. Now, I believe we have opening on the ZBA coming up right now because Ed Greco was on the ZBA. So he's moving from the ZBA to the Planning Commission, which means we have an opening for the ZBA now.
correct. We'll post that and bring that before y'all.
Now, we have a candidate on here for that, John Davis. He wanted to be on the Planning Commission or the ZBA. Can we just automatically assume that he'll take the ZBA spot if he so moves, wants to? Huh? Does anybody have a problem with that?
My thought is we don't have to post specifically for the ZBA.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Thank you. All right. Is that it? Yes, that's it. Presentation by citizens. This is the point of the meeting where you can sign up and tell council how you feel about anything you feel, anything you heard tonight, anything you want us to know. People have signed up on our list, and I will read their names off as follows, starting with Tony Grable, Chadford Road. Mr. Grable. Is this mic on? Is this mic on? Don't call me because I'm close to the...
Hello, hello.
Kind of like the street sweeping, though.
Still not on?
Good evening, members of the council. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Tony Gradle. I live at 725 Chadford Road. I was born and raised in the Irmo community. I've been here ever since. I've been a property owner in Irmo for the past 6 years. I'm here to suggest changes within 3 subsections of the Irmo Town Ordinance Code and 1 change to the Irmo Police Department dash cam body cam policy. I will start with the requested changes to the Irmo Town Ordinance. The list of things that can land you in jail in this town is quite absurd. So I'd like to start with Chapter 14, Article 2, Section 14-32, unsanitary and unsightly conditions, subsection A. Remove leaves from the verbiage as is a product of nature and should not be subject to municipal regulation. Leaves also have environmental benefits to help pollinators and sustain healthy soil, per the Department of Agriculture. Appendix A, Article 6, back on subsection A. Remove grass from the verbiage, as it is there by design and is such subject to growth and may at times be overgrown. Appendix A, Article 6, Section 6-3, subsection A, remove verbiage pertaining to parking of unregistered vehicles on one's own property on the basis that individuals should have a right to store unused modes of transportation, cars, on their own property without fear of government reprimand. Car covers can cause paint damage. Not everyone has an enclosed structure. Modify construction or commercial equipment to include 2-axle work trucks. People should have the right to park their work truck on their property. Subsection C. Subsection C should be repealed entirely, as people should be allowed to park their vehicles where they please on their own property. Granted, said vehicle does not cause substantial damage to the environment or another person's property. Subsection C could also be reclassified as a civil issue rather than criminal based off the way it is currently enforced, which is based off of complaint only. Such behavior suggests that it is more of a private individual-to-individual issue than an offense against the town. I'd like to say I moved to Friars Gate specifically because it is not an HOA community, and yet I find the town of Irmo taking it upon themselves to act is somewhat of an HOA, which was a surprise. Anyways, moving on to the second issue, Irmo Police dash cam body cam policy. This stems from arrogant, rude, and otherwise unprofessional misconduct committed by the Irmo Police Department, specifically Chief Bobby Dale himself. I attempted to secure paperwork on the said matter to bring forth today, but
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Yeah, it's 3 minutes. If you have anything you want to give Mr.
I do need to finish.
Go ahead, give Mr. Courtney Dennis the rest of your.
It seems the Fourth Amendment secures that right for me to finish.
No, sir, you had 3 minutes. Your 3-minute time is up. Now, if you would like to give the rest of your comments to Mr. Dennis, I'm sure he'll take it. If that, okay. Thank you. Ms. Tammy Pierce.
Good evening, council. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm here to speak about the funds that the town of Irmo has received and how best it should be used for the betterment of the citizens of Irmo. As one council member posted on Facebook on how best to use these funds for the betterment of the residents of the community, or more bang for the buck, so to speak. I give you this to consider. According to the FBI Uniform Crime Reports of 2021, the data provided to them by the Irmo PD, we have a rating of D- when it comes to crime in our community. With a total crime up 69%, property crime up 86% over the national average from FBI reports of 2021. In the town of Irmo, you have a 1 in 28 chance of becoming a victim of property crime. 1 in 26% chance of being a victim of crime in Irmo. Year over year in Irmo, data shows that violent crimes have increased by 4%, while property crimes in Irmo have increased by 11%. Total crime has increased by 10% year over year. FBI's summary crime report, which is data reported by Irmo PD, we solve less than half of those crimes committed each year. Most of these crimes are perpetrated on residents by strangers to the victims. Irmo has 26 dedicated, valued, and I respect law enforcement to date, which is 53% less than the South Carolina average and 27% less than the national average, which comes out to 2 police officers per every 1,000 people in the town of Irmo. According to Irmo website, they are responsible for patrolling over 30 precincts, featuring patrol officers and detectives. Irmo Police Department also features 5 transit districts, 4 police patrol areas. Irmo PD officers help secure all regions, including streets, highways, and other public settings. How do we address this problem? When you only have 2 police officers per 1,000 people covering all this area, that's a problem. If you live in my neighborhood of jurisdictional lines between Columbia, Lexington County, and the town of Irmo, it's a problem because you're questioned about your location over and over and over again. Our 911 center calling is failing our residents when it takes 30 minutes in most cases to get help. The perpetrator is long gone by the time help arrives, and if it's a violent crime, good luck. Solution, we need to hire more law enforcement agents and 911 calling centers. All of you know that this is a problem.
Thank you, Ms. Pierce. I appreciate Ms. Pierce. You want to do Ms. Pierce? Ms. Pierce, lower your voice, Ms. Bobby Dale. Have her escort her to her seat. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I appreciate your comments.
These funds.
Thank you, Ms. Pierce.
And to be clear,
Thank you, Ms. Pierce. You can have a seat now. Okay, and you have a Fourth Amendment right to listen to our instructions when you come up here. You have 3 minutes to speak. Everybody is given the same amount of time. When the red light comes on, I even give you a little extra to speak. Mr. Mark Passmore.
Mark Passmore, 800 Creekleaf Court. You boys are getting a lot of trouble tonight, but my problem is furry and four-legged. We've got a pack of coyotes running around the town. I know most of you are aware of it. I called the DNR. They're not going to give you much help. They're going to say they'll move on when their food source depletes. Well, that's Mr. Whiskers. That's their food source. Our domestic animals are their food source. I call down the HOA. They say they cannot do it alone. They need the town of Irmo and the HOA to get together and make a plan because DNR won't touch it. They don't want anything to do with it. So I continued my exploration of this. There are plenty of trappers around town who will come and catch these for free. They used to do it for free, but now there's no bounty on these animals' heads. So you might come up with a little budget to hire a trapper to catch these band of coyotes. We used to have deer, we used to have possum, we used to have rabbits, we used to have cats. They're all gone. And this is the last 6 months. It's all happened in the last 6 months. We have videos of on my front yard. A half a dozen of them having a good time in the middle of the night. My neighbors have had them. I've got one neighbor right here. He lost a cat. Can we do something about it? Can we get it at least on the docket for discussion? These are nuisance animals. And believe me, I love animals. But we can put them back from whence they came, back into nature. That's it, folks. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Passmore. He is talking about coyotes, if anybody wasn't sure. Okay. I've had several people approach me about coyote problem in the park, in the town park, in the community park. But it's a problem, and I don't want all the coyote lovers to hate me now because if we trap them and move them to another area, we're dislocating them, but we are feeding feral cats. And they are eating the food that the feral cats are left out for feral cats. And they're eating the feral cats. So, you know, take the food source away, hopefully they'll go away. Anyway, Lisa Wilson. Lisa G. Wilson.
Thank you, council, and everybody here. I just have one thing to say. The pastor said it best. I want to say thank you for that. These people should not have their homes taken away because we want to have a downtown. Irmo seems to have a lot of area that is open that can possibly be a downtown without interrupting people who have lived in their properties all their lives. I'm not originally from here, no, but I do know what it is to have a family. My family's from Sumter County, and we had the same instance at one time, but we took care of it and they left us alone. And I just feel that, yes, Irmo is growing since I've lived here a little over 20 years. And yes, we do need a downtown, but no, we do not need to interrupt the people in their homes. Secondly, when we are growing, and since we are growing, I hope we don't have the same thing that's going on in Columbia, where we have, how many car washes can we have? How many mattresses places can we have? How many it's just redundant. And there's just so much more that can be here to make this grow. So hopefully when everybody's sitting around on the planning commission, that they will take that into consideration and think about what the people need here. For myself, a 55 and up community where we can live. I mean, really, you know, we're getting older. A lot of us want to sell our homes, but we want to stay here in Irmo. But because we don't have someplace where we can be able to go in and out without stairs and have security and so, you know, it's hard. We don't want to live on the other side of town where they have like 2 or 3 55-year-old communities. We want it right here in Irmo. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else that did not sign the pad that wants to get up and speak? Come on up, ma'am. Just give us your name and your address, and I'll be more than happy to hear from you. You have a 3-minute time limit.
Thank you. My name is Benji Friday. I live at 20 Cape Flattery Court. That is in the Beacon Hill subdivision. My property backs up to the Harvest and Gardens apartment complex. We have had our homes damaged. We have had glass doors shot out. We've had our cars vandalized numerous times. There was a 7-day period where we had gunshots 3 days out of the 7. You never know when you're outside in your yard or trying to sleep in your home if you're going to be shot by a stray bullet. I have slept on a mattress beside my bed because I'm scared of what's happening in my community. I want to know how the town council and you, Mr. Mayor, can help us be safe and protect our neighborhood. I'm at a loss. I have met with everybody I know to meet with. I have met with Chief Holbrook. I have met with Bill Danielson. I've talked several times with Eric. I'm at a loss as to what to do. I believe I have the right to live in my home and be safe. So my question is, how are you going to help protect me as an Irmo resident? Because I have the right to be safe. You enjoy your home, I want to enjoy mine. I'm afraid for my grandchildren to go in my backyard. This is an ongoing problem. I've been fighting this battle for 25 years. So I'm just asking for help. Thank you.
Okay. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that concludes the list of everybody who signed up. Anybody else want to address council on what they heard here tonight? Come on up, Mr. Bowman. You already gave your address. I'm gonna write your name down here. William and Cheryl Bowman. Go ahead.
I think it was very clear.
Wait a minute. Can y'all get that mic fixed? I cannot hear what he's saying. Turn it up.
I think that it is very
There we go.
clear.
Okay.
It was very clear what was said here tonight regarding the Main Street project in Irmo.
Mhm.
I think that the property owners and the residences around the park are they're opposed to the location and this project. I don't understand how it can proceed on from council's point of view and the mayor's point of view after tonight. I think that the citizens have spoken, and I don't think there's anything else but to vote it down. That's a very nice way of explaining what I'm feeling.
Yeah, and and I would say too, to save the town some money, that you had voted on a land acquisition firm. You need to save that money because we already told you you're not selling. So do the town a favor and save that money. Put it in some of these other concerns the citizens have, like staying safe, garbage pickup. How you going to do that? Put that money there because we already told you and the council, Mayor, that we're not selling. So don't come. Don't send a certified letter. Don't knock on our doors. Save the money. We're not selling. But I do want to know what's next. I know it's rhetorical because you can't answer me back. But for the record, what's next? Thank you.
Anybody else would like to speak? They did not sign the pad. Just give me your name, please.
Y'all have sat here tonight and disagreed and agreed among yourselves. And you had these citizens that come in here. They tell you that they don't want their property to be sold. When are y'all going to act on it? Just so we come here to hear. When are y'all going to act on what these people are saying? Do you have to be preached to? You can't just take people's property and then unsaid what they not want to have done to their property. And y'all sitting up here looking like y'all don't hear what they're saying.
Who's y'all?
You, all of y'all. You and all the council members. Y'all ain't made no decision. You trying to stall us? We'll set y'all all down. Y'all
Okay.
because we're not going home to bed or we don't get there.
Okay.
Y'all now need to make an educated decision. We tired of worrying about what y'all think about the town of Irmo because y'all don't live here nowhere. But you want to hear what we got to say, and then you sit up there and act like you got hearing problems like me. So when y'all going to make a decision?
They already made the decision.
Well, then when we going to hear it?
You heard it tonight.
I don't understand what you said. What did you say?
Well, look.
Tell us in plain English, what did you say?
Well, after the meeting, I'll explain to you in
I don't
plain
want to hear it
English.
after me. I want to hear it now.
Well, they didn't want to discuss it.
Why don't you want to discuss? That's what we come here for. What we come here for if y'all don't do what we come here for? How many times do we have to come here to hear the same thing? We got to wait. I don't want to hear it privately. I want everybody to hear it at the same time. You got a secret about it? You got a secret? You got a secret? Now, you know I don't want to get on you. But you know, I'll get on you, Mayor, too. And you, too, because I know I called all of you. None of you called me back. Did you?
Somebody lied. Hey, listen, Mr. Thank you for sharing that information with us.
But I want some answers.
Is there anything else you'd like to
I just
address?
want some answers. What else do I have to say?
Okay. Come here, and explain. Let us know what you want us to know.
47 Eastview Drive. And I guess what they're saying is that they wanted clarity about the vote that was taken on 2302. It appears to me that it was struck down.
Correct. That means
Everything is moving forward as it was.
correct. There you go. That's the clarity.
I'm not sure why you all couldn't say that, but I think we need to organize outside of this town hall meeting, residents, and maybe get some legal advice and legal counsel ourselves. Okay, that's how we need to move forward with this. Thank you.
Anybody else? Now, Mr. Grable, you already been up here once before now. All right. Is there any new information you want us to know?
You know, I got to admit, I came up here for an entirely different reason, but I caught some of the videos from the last town council meeting, and it seems that, you know, these people who actually reside in this town and live here, they have reached a clear-cut conclusion that they don't want to have anything to do with your downtown project or what have you. Mr. Sickinger, you seem to work pretty hard to snuff any further discussion of what these people had to say. So, and the only person that showed any sort of interest in hearing, the only person on this board that showed any kind of interest in hearing what the people of the town, i.e. your bosses, have to say, was the mayor himself. How the rest of you can sit there and not listen, I don't think you're fit to be on this board. That is all I have to say.
Come on up. Give us your name, please. Give us your name, please, and
My
your
name is
address.
Maxine Sumter, and I live at 113 Savannah Branch Trail, Irmo. And I simply want to say, and I've had conversations with every one of you, and you know that. You know the conversations that we have had. You know the promises that you made in terms of how you would vote tonight. I want to tell you that this is not fair, it is immoral, and it's not economically sound. So I want to say that to you tonight. And you have also publicly indicated that it is not your desire to take people's property if they do not want to sell. Am I correct, Councilman Sicklinger? You're shaking your head in agreement. Is that correct? Is that correct, Councilman Danielson? Is that correct, the two of you? So you all have said that you are not interested in taking people's property if they do not want to sell. They made it very clear to you tonight that they do not want to sell. So what is the issue here tonight? Black and white is what I like to do, not gray. So I'm asking you, you indicated that you have made it plain and clear. You are not interested in taking anybody's property if they do not want to sell. They came here, the majority of them, on the 12 and told you no. So help me understand. I see you shaking your head, Mr. Sicklinger. Help me understand that, please, counsel. Help me understand.
We're not debating, but we're just hearing what you had to say and what you've observed tonight. You're giving us feedback on that.
All right. Well, I just wanted to go on record to let you know, and you all know the conversations we have had. You all know what you said in terms of how you would vote tonight. I hope you can have a good conscience from here on out.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. Get your name again, please.
Miss Jasmine.
Miss Jasmine, what?
Miss Jasmine G.
Lee. Okay, thank you.
I just want to address Mr. Zingler.
Sickinger, close enough.
Mr. S, I'll start with that. You sit up there very smug, sir. Very smug. And if it was your mama's land, and your granddaddy land, and your grandma land, your face wouldn't look like that. I know you don't care, but it's fine. We care. We're here because we care. I'm telling you, one day it's going to be you, and you. I'm telling you, it's not going to be cute when everybody in here they gonna have their time. I'm telling you, it's not okay for you to be so smug.
Ms. Bell.
I just want to say what the gentleman said about the coyotes. We are not safe with these coyotes roaming around. I have grandchildren, I have great-grandchildren, and they are running up and down. They're running in packs from the park and things, and it's unsafe. I goes out in my yard and clean, and my children tell me, Mama, don't you go out there by yourself. You never know when no coyotes coming, because they will attack. And something need to be done. And they need to do it soon.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else to speak on anything you want us to know about tonight? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I have a discussion item.
We have a discussion?
Yeah,
We don't have a discussion?
I'd like to add a discussion item.
We don't have a discussion item, so
It's
is
the
there,
next thing on the agenda, isn't it?
I'm saying we don't have a
Oh,
discussion
yeah.
item.
I'd like to add a discussion item.
Excuse me, Mr. Signature?
I'd like to add a discussion item. I mean, it was the next thing on the agenda. I was looking forward to having an opportunity to discuss some items.
We don't have a discussion item on the agenda. There's been no motion to amend the agenda to add a discussion item, so we can put that on the next agenda if you like. Is there a motion for, there's executive session we already had. The next thing is a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn? Is a motion to adjourn? Second?
So moved.
So there's moves in second. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay. In the opinion of the chairs, the ayes have it. The motion to adjourn, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.